Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for Stumbling Stones. My name is Eric Siler. I'm a professor of film, media arts, and communication, as well as moderator for this conversation. We're pleased to be joined by the director of Stumbling Stone, Reza Mosadegh. Reza Mosadegh is originally from Iran, but he fled there to Germany. Since then, he has made films, award-winning films, and he's also spent a brief time in the US in Los Angeles for a couple of years. Hello, Reza, and welcome.
Hi, guten Tag in German.
Well, good. Thank you for that welcome. I'm sure our German-speaking students appreciate that. So let's get right into this very powerful, very emotional film. Can you tell us what inspired you to create Stumbling Stones?
It was the whole political situation in Europe and in the United States and everywhere. What I felt was like we are really making a very radical movement to kind of right positions, very radical right-wing positions. And I just wanted to remind people what happened in history with people hating an ethnic or a religion and other people, and what can happen, you know, if you don't really stop it in an early phase, in an early period. And that's why I made this film actually too, because I was really concerned about the development we are making in our
Is, is,
democracies.
is this in part based on a true story or something that you read or something you just totally created?
It is. I used to talk to time witnesses or kids of time witnesses because most of the real time witnesses are already dead, and I got so many stories from different people, and from all these stories I created a kind of this stumbling stones, this story. And stumbling stones are really stones in Germany and in other European cities. These are little golden stones in the ground in front of houses, and in these stones are the name and the birth date and sadly the date of murdering these people. And this is a kind of a reminder of what happened during the Hitler regime in Germany.
Okay. So this film is something that didn't actually happen, but it could have happened. It could have happened in some
Exactly,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything what happens in this film happened, you know, to people. So it's not, I didn't make up something. What I did is, there is not a family where you can say this is the family where it happened to. But as I said, I talked to witnesses who told me stories like that, and I made from all these stories one film, you know. So there is anything what happened really happened to people. So.
All right. That's interesting. So I know you're originally from Iran and you moved to Germany, and I guess this is something you learned about, you know, the history of Germany and the Holocaust and so forth. And so how does that work? I mean, you're Iranian and you're
Mhm.
making a film like this. So can you
Yeah,
talk a little bit about the
yeah,
cultural similarities and differences
yes.
between Iran and Germany?
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, for me, it's like I was 5 years old when we fled to Germany. You know, we fled from a war and from because of political issues in Iran. And for sure, when you imagine you're a little kid, they take you out of from your grandparents, from your uncles, cousins, and all, and suddenly you don't understand things, you know. And it was not like that. We went to the plane and we went over to Germany. You know, we had to flee really a dangerous way, and it was war and all. So as a kid, you really don't understand what is happening. And at the end, the result is you end in a country where you don't know the language, you don't know anyone, uh, everything is different. And but I tell you, I had to fight with this issue because it's really really difficult. You go into a kindergarten or in a school and you don't understand anything. You are in a world, you know, it's like going to another planet. And at that time, more than now, because there was no internet and nothing, so we didn't know where we are going, what is going to come to us. Okay, so but what happened is that this is, I think, this is the base of my creativity, because I learned in my earliest years a way to deal with this situation. You know, I didn't focus on the problem, like, I don't understand you or anything. They bother me because I'm darker than them, or, you know, one example is I never drink cacao, you know, because when I had cacao, like chocolate, you know, like cacao is German, I think, you know, like a chocolate drink. Because when I had a chocolate drink, people in school told me, ah, you are so brown because you drink so much chocolate milk, you know. So, but I didn't focus on the problem. I focused on solutions. So I came up with creative solutions at that time as a kid already, and I made my life easier with that. And at one point, I saw like, wow, if I'm creative and I find solutions for the problems, things are really going well. So I even benefit because I know two great cultures. So I combine these cultures, and I think today this is the base of all my creative activities and all. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm really glad you shared that with us
Mm.
because filmmakers, especially in this film, you can feel that it came from something, and we can feel that this film came from your background, how you kind of
Mm.
put the story on display. So really, thank you for that, sharing that with us. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about the film. Let's talk about the makeup of the film. How long did it take for you to make the film from beginning to end, and how many days of shooting did you spend on this film?
It took us long because we didn't have money. So, you know, so it's always the issue, we didn't have money. So it took us until the end. And the problem is also, I have to admit that I wanted a really in beautiful shots. I wanted high quality. I wanted very cinematic. So, and if you don't have money and you want this high standard, then we need time. So I wrote like a year, something about a year, because of the research and talking to time witnesses and so on. About a year I needed for the script, and then we just had, I think, 2.5 shooting days, which is insane with
Yeah.
what we have shot. Is we shot really, we slept in between maybe an hour, and we kept shooting, and we had a huge team, and the actors all did a really great job, and then it took us a long time to edit, about a year and a half, because of money issues, because I didn't have the money to pay right away everyone, and I needed for sure, because as an example, the grading of the film was made by one of the best film graders here in Germany, and he told me like, hey Reza, I really love your project and I will do it for you even for free, but I just have time in 8 months, you know. So I had to wait for him. So that's why it took at the end around 3 years. With money, for sure, we would have shot it, and we would have done the whole thing maybe in 1 or 1.5, you know, like including research and writing.
I see. Interesting. 3 years, but it was well worth the wait. In terms of the those 2.5 days of shooting, did you use an actual house? Did you have to get props and furniture?
It's
Tell us a little
all
bit
made.
about that.
So the only thing we had the house, and this is a film house. You know, we got the location because it's really, we couldn't. Yeah, we couldn't set up a house for it. So I needed a house which looks suiting to the time we are shooting. So we were in the 1930s, so we needed something else. So the house we rented, but it was completely empty. So all the furniture you see, all the props you see, it's all made by us. There was nothing inside. So it was crazy. If I
That's
think about it now, I really, it was so much work to get all together.
that's
But you know, that's what.
remarkable.
Yeah, but you know, that is what, if you do something what you really believe what you have to do, because you want to bring society forward, because you want to send a message to society. I strongly believe that doesn't matter what it takes, but doing is the difference between losers and successful people, I think. And I really had the vision, and I was like, I need to do this. And it took me maybe a longer time because we didn't have much money, but at the end we did it. And the effort was crazy to realize this
I
movie.
bet. So getting all the furniture, did you had a set decorator, or you did it yourself, or worked with other
No,
people?
the set decorator was my mother. and my director's assistant and me. So we were three people. Yeah, set designing and all. We didn't have the budget for a set designer, and I hope
Wow.
that it looks real. But and it
It
was
does.
and I'm really perfectionist. Anything you see on this set, starting from the radio up to the furniture, are things which really suit exactly to the time where we are in the film. There is nothing what is like a fake or it just looks old and is no, it's all real and it's exactly historically correct.
Right, that's great. A tribute to your research. I just want to let everyone know
Thank you.
we're a little more than halfway through our conversation with Reza Mosadegh. And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A portal and we'll get to them as time allows. The technique of the film. I noticed you use a lot of you use a single camera
Mhm.
technique in which you brought us in and out of different rooms and the conversations and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about this deliberate style of filmmaking?
Yeah, this was definitely a decision I did because you know I shoot a lot of music videos. Usually, the style I shoot is completely different. I shoot with a lot of cuts and very fast. And but when I was sitting on this project, I said like I want the parts where we are in the house, where we are with the family. I want the audience to feel like the camera is their eye and they are inside this house. So I think any cut would have disturbed that. So, and we don't have fake cuts in this sequences. There is not a single fake cut. It's all really staged. So we had really to make a lot of rehearsals. We had to train a lot with the actors to have every movement on the right moment when the camera comes and moves and goes through the house, you know. And I think this is the only way to bring the audience really into the house. And but on the other side, I didn't want the audience to be too emotional. So because I wanted them even though it is a very emotional subject and film, but I never wanted the audience to just watch it with the heart. I wanted the audience also to watch it with the brain, you know, with the mind, because otherwise people feel sad, but they don't change something in their mind. So that's why I have in between of the chapters this kind of cuts with completely random images. And this is called, if you know about German literature, it was Bertolt Brecht who said about the Verfremdungseffekt. And for me was really important to bring back in this moment. I wanted to cut the feelings and to bring back the mind of the audience, you know. So that's why I have the mixture between in the chapters, single shots, and then cuts, single shot cuts. So yeah, I try to. I don't know if it works, but this is what I try to
Well, I believe it
reach.
worked, and in contrast to that, you created like this happy family too,
Mm,
which was
absolutely.
really good. You wanted us to
Yeah.
feel like this is a loving family and
Yeah.
facing a crisis that was going on.
Because that is how it was, you know. You never should forget, you know, this is like what happened at that time is one of the most cruel things. The Holocaust is one of the most cruel things mankind has ever done. And this happened in Europe, in Germany. You know, it's like, and it happens to normal families and people. So, and it happened from one of the other day. And everybody was underestimating it, you know, like, ah, come on, is one man. He can't change the world. He can't, you know, he won't change now Germany. This one single man called Hitler ruined like lives, you know, he families, generations. And yeah, that's why they were happy families, normal families before 1933, you know. So that's why I tried to bring that into the film, like showing like, hey, this was like they came into the normal regular life suddenly, you know. So that's what I why I tried to make that.
Well, that's yeah, that's really really great that you want to express your passion this way. We do have a question that's come in. It's more about the content of the film. They want to know is uh, what was the purpose of the family swallowing the jewelry at the end?
This is something. This question comes a lot of times. It's a very good question. Um, a lot of families at that time, because they took anything from you. So when they deported the Jews, or whoever they deported, they said, take your suitcases and just take the most valuable things you need, and you just are allowed, as an example, to take one suitcase each person. But behind this, so people started to pack, for sure, the most valuable and the most important things they had. But behind that, there was a tactic from the Hitler's regime, because once, before putting the Jews into the trains, they took away their suitcases and they took away their goods, and they knew that they are going to have gold and everything inside that, because for sure, if you have to leave from one of the other day your house, what you do is you take something to, if you don't know where you're going to end, so you take something with value to have, okay, to, because they took their money and anything. So they tried at least to have something with them in case they could use it for something. So, and then the Hitler regime took away the suitcases, and then they separated the gold, everything they had. So this came out after a while, and then people started, as an example, to put their gold or anything they had, which what shoots like, into bread, and they swallowed it. And once they were in the concentration camp, yeah, they went to the toilet and tried to find that out, and that was the only way to hide it, because they checked their bodies, they checked their suitcases, so there was no way to sneak it somehow into the concentration camps or something, instead of swallowing it. And then, yeah, maybe you could bribe someone with this piece of gold or something. So that's why they swallow the gold in the film. This is also something what a witness told me, what their parents did to them. It's not made up by me.
Mhm. I have heard, yes, I've heard stories like that. People trying to protect their personal items. We
Yeah,
have
and it's
another
not,
good question.
and it's not involved. Very important. These personal items could rescue your life later. So if there would be a guard to whom you could give this ring, and as an example, he would let you flee, or maybe you could get a fake passport with it or something. So these personal items were really, it was possible to live because of that. So that's why they did it.
We have another question is, um, do you want us to conclude that the father died or the entire family died at the end of the film? So I guess, how do you want us to interpret? Did
I
anyone
think I
survive
wanna. I
or?
think I yeah. I think obviously. Yeah, I want them to survive. I want them to survive, obviously. But the sad side is, most of them didn't survive. So I let it up to you. If I let it up to the audience. So, but sadly, most of them died.
Right. Okay. Yes. I that's why I thought you wanted us to conclude that on our
Mhm.
own. I just want to let our audience know that we're talking to Reza Mosadegh, director of Stumbling Stones. We're going just a little bit over because it's just such a fascinating conversation. So I hope you can just stay with us just for a few minutes longer with that. Um, can you tell us a little bit about the reaction that you've received from screening this film from, Jewish people, German people, people of all.
Yeah. Um, it's like the reaction for sure is from any country, or from on any, because the film was now running on a lot of festivals worldwide. It was in countries where I never expected it to run. So and in every country the reaction is really different. In the United States, it's like, I think we have most of the nominations and festival screenings in the United States. People are very emotional about it. Very, very. I saw people, as an example, we were in San Francisco last year before Corona. Still, I was in a festival in San Francisco, and people were crying in the cinema, and it was like. And that's really like touch for me, to touch my heart, because I think like, wow, it's crazy. But the reaction is, actually, anybody who watches says, is in, especially now in our times, it's, this movie is, or this film is so important, because yeah, we are making some really radical movements, and if you see like how racism is rising, how anti-Semitism is rising, this is like it's our duty in a democracy to stand up against rising racism, to stand up against rising anti-Semitism. You know, no one else is going to do it. This is how democracy works. And a democracy is something very weak. And right now, I have the feeling that if you check in online on YouTube comments or any comments you see, the loudest people on this are the radical haters, you know, on anything. And I think we as, yeah, people who want to be in to keep our democracy, we have to be louder. This is the only thing we can do,
Mhm.
and it's our duty because it's our freedom they are attacking. You know, so yeah.
I see. Let me just ask you a personal question. Like, have you ever gotten this reaction after you've shown the film and people are surprised? You're Iranian. What are you doing
Mhm.
making a film like this? Has that ever
Mhm.
happened at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a TV show where they asked me the same, and I and I asked I let me ask you a question back. Um, what is the reason that I'm Iranian? Okay, or I was born in Iran. I'm more German than Iranian, but it doesn't
Mhm.
matter which one. Okay, but let me ask you a question. If I see anti-Semitism rising in Germany, in Europe, why? Just because I'm Iranian, then I don't stand up against that, and I don't stand up for this. You know, this is why. I think this is something we should put out of our mind. I don't fight just for my own ethnic background. I don't fight just for my own religion, just for my own skin color or whatever. If I see that something bad is rising, I don't care who it is who is threatened in that moment. If I can help, if I can do something, I do it, independent from what if I am affected or not on this, you know? And yeah, I think this is like, that's why absolute this question comes again and again, and I think it really shocks me because this question shouldn't be there, because we shouldn't question why someone helps someone else just because he doesn't have the same skin color or the same religion or whatever. This doesn't matter, you know. And any kind of hate and whatever it comes, and if I would see another tendency which really is a threat to our democracy and to our society and to people in our society, I would stand up. I don't care for whom it is.
Well said. Well said. That is. This has been a really good conversation. We can go on and on. But before I let you go, oh, one thing I want to ask you: those awards behind you, are they from? I know one of them is from Stumbling Stones, and
Yeah.
are both of them? All of
So
them?
yeah, we won in the Los Angeles Film Awards. We just got, I think we won 4 awards. This is from the LA Film Awards. Do you see it? I can show
Mhm.
it here. This is
Yes.
like what I, and we also yeah, the other one is from New Delhi. We won in India as well with Stumbling Stones, and we won many more awards, but I don't have them all here. And the other 3 awards you see there, I won them in 2008 with another short film when I still was a film student. So yeah.
Mm. And I just want to reiterate that you didn't make this film to win the awards. It's nice that you won the
No
awards.
way, no way.
Right,
Yeah. This is,
exactly.
I
It
never,
came about.
I made this movie just actually because I wanted to do something for Germany. You know, I was thinking like, come on, I want to do a film which maybe runs here in small cinemas or something, and suddenly it's going to New Delhi. You know, I would have never expected that. And yeah. Anyways, whoever is interested in filmmaking, never do a project because you want to win awards. You do a project because you want to tell a story, because you want to change something, because you feel from deep inside that you need to make this film, and whatever is the
A-
result at the end, this is not the reason why I made it.
Absolutely. So what's next for you? What can we expect to, are you working on anything now? Or is there something we could see in the near
Yeah.
future?
Yeah, I just got from the Hamburg Film Fund. So the film is, from this film commission film fund. I think is difficult to translate it into English. I just got money for a feature film now too, and I'm writing the script. It's like yeah, it's a huge step in the life of a German filmmaker. If the film fund comes and says, you are a talent, we give you now money to write a script, go for it. And I'm doing it now, and I hope that in 2 months it will be done. And then let's see which producer is going to come and to say, let's do it. And it's we want to do it for the cinema, but let's see if this is going to work because of Corona. So maybe we need to make it for streaming platforms or something. But it's completely a different thing than Stumbling Stones. It's a mainstream film, and it's a kind of a new, let's call it Rocky Balboa story, but in Germany, playing in Germany with soccer and a person like a person of color who is trying to come up and to get his chance to go up, to rise in life. So this is what it's about.
It sounds exciting. I mean, and it's coming from within, so we really can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see that.
I
Well,
also
thank you.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Reza, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate the time that you've given us today. Thank you so
Thank you for
much.
having me, and yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. To our audience, I was Reza Mosadegh, the director of Stumbling Stones. We appreciate the time that he spent with us today, and we appreciate your time that you spent with us today, too, for joining us for this invigorating and important conversation. For more information about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please continue to follow CIFF on social media and visit clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Siler. Thank you.